I have been eating a raw vegan diet for a couple of months now, and I really wanted it to work. But I've gone through a bit of a process that I'm going to share right now and let you know how that turned out. So, I've been vegan for 10 years. That's not a big deal. But a raw food diet is something that I have attempted to embrace numerous times in my life, and there's always been some reason why I haven't been able to stick with it. This was the fifth time that I've tried it, and this time I bought a dehydrator, and I have the high-speed blender and a food processor, and I have recipe books so that I could have a good variety in my diet. I eat a lot of different nuts and seeds and dried fruits and certainly fresh fruits. It's the wintertime in Canada right now, and so I'm primarily, as far as sweet juicy fruits, it's oranges and apples and granadilla, passion fruit. And so I eat a good amount of those things, and I also eat bananas and avocados and tomatoes, and I do juicing as well. I have a juicer, so juice carrots, apples, and beets and kale at least once a week. I mean, so like doing all of these things, making breads and whatnot in the dehydrator, and just out of like say apples and carrots and flax seeds and chia seeds, then added in pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, and so doing all of these things. And I do sprouting as well, so eating I sprout my own alfalfa sprouts, and yeah, so like I make my own coconut macaroon. So I have like a good dietary regime. I eat a wide variety of things. I also take certain supplements, which I will get into. And I also have a raw vegan organic protein powder that I mix spirulina and that I fortify with spirulina, chlorella, and hemp protein, and then I would take that every so often, but sort of intermittently. And the same thing with the supplements, which are I'll get into that later. But so, oh no, I mean, so they are resveratrol, shilajit, um, what do you call it? There's a 16 mushroom blend, curcumin from turmeric, as well as vitamin D3. And so I would take these things, maybe once a week or twice a week, but not too much. I mean, they're just sort of micronutrients. They're just an addition to diet, not the diet itself. I mean, I feel like you should be able to get everything that you need from the food that you're eating. I also make my own chocolate, and I also make things like essentially energy bowls and stuff like that, kind of out of nuts and raisins and dates and stuff like that. And I have two bento boxes which have all of the different nuts and dried fruits in it. So I eat like a very wide variety of things. So it's like I'm not starving. And then I also eat salads. I eat a good amount of avocados. I eat flax oil, avocado. Oh no, not avocado oil. Olive oil, as well as like a good variety of things in my diet. And I love arugula, and I eat pretty much everything is organic, um, and yeah, and so I've been eating like this for a while. But so what happened recently was that so it's the middle of winter. It is January 2nd today. But so the Christmas holidays came. And so I've been really pushing myself over this course of this year to get better at yoga and to strengthen my body. I have a pretty intense calisthenics routine as well as a yoga routine. And so for what is it, for the Christmas holidays, I decided to take a break from it all and just kind of slow down and allow my body to heal and relax and recover. So I changed the way I was doing things. I stopped practicing yoga. I was like, I put a lot of strain or stress or pressure on my body in order, because I'm working on opening up my hips and stuff like that, and it's a lot. I mean, like, for example, I practiced yoga for 2 hours this morning, and I also teach a yoga class this evening. I will practice for an hour before that, and then class is an hour. So that's 4 hours of yoga a day sometimes in my life. But that's what it is, because I'm looking to progress anyways. So over the course of this time that I had off, I had roughly 2 weeks off of work. And so I was my diet changed because I'm not going to work anymore, and I decided to stop going to the gym and stop practicing yoga, just to really embrace rest, because it's like coming, the winter solstice. It is the lowest energy point of the year, as well as, I do believe, I can't remember if it was New Year's Day or the day before, but coincided with a new moon. So it's a very low energy time of the year and time of the month. So it's like, okay, this is a great time to rest. And I stopped, I was certainly not drinking protein powder or having protein shakes, because I figured I don't need those things if I'm just going to be sitting around the house. And so I'm eating a very simple diet, and a bit of lots of, like I said, bananas, apples, and making these like different little sandwiches. I make nut cheeses as well out of almonds, so like a raw nut cheeses, and I'd make little sandwiches and this and that, and it was okay. But so as time went on, I started finding that it was difficult to get out of bed in the morning. I was becoming tired. And I thought, well, maybe it's just this time of the year, maybe just go with the flow. Don't try to always push yourself to perform, always trying to to reach that next level. How about just surrender to the season, surrender to the moon cycle and to the yearly cycle, and just kind of give yourself over to this. And but which is frustrating on a level, because in the morning is when I get things done. That is when I really have time to devote myself to a lot of the organization, which keeps my life moving forward at a reasonably steady pace. And so I like I said, I was starting to feel lethargic, and it was challenging, because it was like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? It's like, maybe my body just really needs to recover. So I started really doing nothing. I started sleeping in a lot more and spending a lot of time in bed, and a lot of time just kind of hanging out and exposing myself to higher level thinking. I was trying to upgrade my consciousness by watching Bashar videos, by reading books and listening to audio books and things of that nature. And so just just trying to really take advantage of this little spell, this time that I had to not be in such a grind where I'm just constantly pushing forward, moving forward. And anyways, it got up to, I was really tired. And I was, my back was sore because I was lying in bed for so much time because I just didn't feel like getting up. And so I would lie in bed for, I would go to bed sometimes at 9 and then get up at 9. So I'm spending like, 12 hours a day in bed, which is absurd for me because I normally sleep for about 3 hours. My body naturally wakes up, and I still did wake up because mentally that's where I'm at, but physically and energetically that isn't where I was at. And so there was sort of a discord. They weren't in alignment, so I would wake up, but then I would just roll around in bed and lie in silly positions, and it had a negative impact on my body. And so my body's hurting. I stopped practicing yoga because it's like I was feeling stiff, and I was feeling weak, and I was feeling tired. And I was like, okay, maybe this is just a natural thing. I just need to get through this. Sort of like a sickness. It's like maybe my body's detoxing from, how I've treated it over the years, things that I've put into it, stimulants and stuff like that, because I think it takes a lot longer to detox from some of the stuff that we do to ourselves than some, say, websites give it credit for. And I have a video that's going to be coming up about that. But the thing is, so even on Christmas Day, I got up in the morning and was like, holy cow, what have I got to do to start feeling better quickly? Because I need to really move forward in life. I mean, like it's good to take breaks, but I mean it's one thing if it's like sort of a forced break. It's like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. I mean, I need to figure out what's going on. So I went for a walk in the forest, and I went for a barefoot walk. I was like, okay, maybe I need to ground. Maybe it's just because maybe I'm a wild animal, and it's just the fact that I'm living in these walls in this house, and it's like I feel enclosed. And so there's just something that's building up inside of me, or because I haven't gone out into nature. I'm just disconnected from nature, and so I'm not in tune with this, and it's causing interference or something like that in my energetic field, or there's all of these things. But despite going into nature or even living up off the ground, because there's something special about living on the ground. There's an energetic field that is, I've heard it talked about, that is about knee height off of the ground. So the closer that you can live to the ground, the better. And I live on like upstairs in a house. So it's like, trying to really figure out, okay, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do to get back to a place where I'm feeling vibrant and healthy again? Where is my virility? Like, I'm not smoking weed, I'm not drinking, I'm not dissipating my sexual energy. I am, I meditate, I do all of these things right. It's like, so what am I doing wrong? And this was the question. It's like, okay, well, it's the middle of winter, and it's like, maybe it's because I haven't had sun on my skin. So there was a sunny day. As soon as it was a sunny day, I went outside, and I went to a place where I could just have I had shorts on, and I had my shirt open so that I got sun on my torso and my face. And I stood there for like a good hour and a half to see if that would have some sort of a difference. It did not. I'm sure it did, because I think that there's more transpiring to do with our exposure to sunlight than just something as simple as vitamin D not activation, but I mean taking it in anyways. And so, but that is another question. And so even down that road, it was like, okay, what what else could I be doing wrong? And so I went to the health food store. I was like, okay, maybe I'm not getting enough vitamin D. So I got more vitamin D supplements. It's like, okay, I've been taking some because it is the winter time in Canada and I haven't had the sun on my skin for many months. I mean, for many months anyways. And so I go there. It's like, okay, well, maybe I need this. So then I start taking them. Don't really notice a whole big difference. So then do a little bit of research. Magnesium helps with the absorption of vitamin D. Okay, fine. Go get some of that. And it's like, well, what else? Like, well, maybe because I'm not eating a lot of, I'm deficient in something like B vitamins. So go get a B vitamin complex. And so I'm taking all of these things. And I'm not drinking coffee, and and despite everything that I'm doing or have done and whatnot, I am also living a sort of I'm living my best life, right? Like I have drive, I have focus, I have passion, I have excitement in my life, and so it's like, what am I doing wrong? And it's frustrating. So what happened was that, and I'm drinking lots of water too, and drinking teas, but still, despite all of this, it's not adding up to whatever is not working for me. And so this is what I'm getting to. I'm doing all of this stuff. I've exhausted the things that I could figure out. It's just like, okay, at this point, I don't know what else to do because I figure that everything that I'm doing is good enough. And so I just had to surrender to the moment and be like, okay, well, at this point in time, the only thing that I have available to me is to lie in bed and to raise my awareness. Let's focus on developing conscious awareness of things, of life. And so I went on a bit of a marathon watching Bashar videos, and it was really good. There was a number of sort of aha moments that were very helpful, but I don't want to get distracted here. This is about one thing. And so what happened was there was one video that I watched where there was somebody came on and they asked a question. They said, hey, why is it that some people, why do you, what did they say? They said, why do you promote a herbivorous diet? He's like, because there has never been a population of vegans in the world who have just eaten this way and have thrived. Most people do a diet like this and it only lasts for a period of time, and then they start eating other things due to health reasons. And he just kind of went off. He said all of these things. He's like, he cited some science and this and that and da 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 da. And then so when Bashar responded to this, he said, I never said that human beings are herbivorous species. He said, I said that you are an omnivorous species, and that what's important is that no matter what you're eating, is that it is as close to natural and organic as possible, so that as you're intaking sustenance, vitamins and minerals and nutrients and all this kind of stuff, that you're not also becoming toxic from chemical fertilizers and fungicides and pesticides and herbicides and things that you don't want to be exposed to, heavy metals and this kind of stuff. So you need to be aware of that, and that's why it's also important to do cleanses from time to time, depending on the kind of things that you're eating, in order to essentially offset any of the negative accumulation of toxins in the body just as a result of living. Like even just like driving down the road, if you're driving down the road, there's like 1,000 cars in front of you that are puking out smoke, you know, like burnt hydrocarbons and stuff like that. That stuff causes cancer. So it's like, it's why it's really important to eat a really healthy, clean diet. And he also said that some people's bodies actually do require eating eating animal products. And like when I heard this, I just like, because he also recommends eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, high water content diet. And so, but when I heard this, it threw me for a loop, and I was like, holy smokes. I mean, I don't want to be closed-minded, narrow-minded. I don't want to be an extremist. I don't want to think that I have it all figured out and be unwilling to look at certain things, right? And so when he said this, I just thought, wow, you know, maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Like maybe if I started eating eggs again or something like that, maybe my cholesterol is low. But it's like, I don't even know what cholesterol is, right? And, you know, it begs to question, like, you know, because this is the thing, is you get up here and you're like, oh, well, maybe I don't have enough vitamin K, or maybe I don't have enough, you know, all of these things that are otherwise, we've only known about vitamins and all of this stuff, like the breakdown of food for like a couple hundred years. And it's like, this is when people have become a lot sicker because anyways, that's not the point. The point is, so I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, well, you know, could I start eating animal products again? You know, I was like, I don't think it doesn't make any sense for me to eat meat, because it's like an animal, say like a pig eats plants that are full of vitamins and minerals and protein and all that kind of stuff, and then their body uses all of that stuff, and then the flesh is just protein. It's like, so it to me, it's like, it doesn't make sense to eat animal flesh, because if you eat the beans and you get all of that stuff, if you eat flesh, you're like animal flesh, you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals and fiber and stuff like that, and also in the right amounts, because as far as I understand, we are a frugivorous species, essentially. I mean, meaning that, fruit is our most natural thing to eat, because it is the thing that is the most easily digested by the body, and it has water and vitamins and minerals. It has nutrients, phytochemicals, things that are super healthy for you. I mean, fruit is arguably the easiest, the most healthy thing that a person can eat. I mean, and it is given freely too. We have a special relationship between humans and trees, because we breathe in the oxygen that they give off, and they utilize the carbon dioxide that we give off, and we eat the fruit and we take it to other places and we poop out the seeds or plant them, which spreads the trees and whatnot. So like, we have a very symbiotic kind of synergistic relationship with these organisms. I mean, and so fruit, for me, I would consider myself a fruitarian. I still do. It is something that has been true for me for over a decade anyways. And so, but, you know, just thinking, so, but what about eggs? And it's just like, I can't honestly morally, because have like I can't, my morals do not allow me to in any way interfere with the sovereignty of another animal, you know, like to in any way control what they do, or just what I'm doing to be affecting them, you know, like in any way to be controlling them. That's why I won't have a dog or a cat, because you have to the relationship demands a certain control, and I couldn't do that because, like, as a wild animal myself, I do not appreciate it when anybody tries to exert control over me or tries to tell me what to do or when to do it or how to do it, and forces a certain lifestyle or a way upon me. And so it was a funny time where I had to kind of like dig deep and think about this stuff. It's like, okay, well, you know, but at the same time, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And how do I move forward beyond where I'm at? And so this all coincided with New Year's Day. And so I was invited to a New Year's party at a friend's house, who was also a fruitarian. And so I, in preparation to go to this, it's like, I don't want to, because it's a social environment, I was like, I don't want to eat a heavy meal, because I want to not be bogged down by anything in my stomach. I don't want to be digesting so much as I want to be kind of like a little more lively and feeling good. So I thought, okay, well, honestly, then the best thing to eat would just be a protein shake, which for me is I will do 2 scoops. I have it just in my car. It's sort of like so that in my car I always have something to eat, and I have a shaker, and I have a couple of jars that have 2 scoops each in them, and so I have it in my room as well. And so I made a shake. I went to my car, made a shake, and so that's 40 grams of protein there in that. Shook it up. I let it sit and slake. Like I don't know if that's the term. It is when you make concrete. It needs the molecules need to get saturated. So I let it sit and become fully saturated, because going from a dry powder, you know, I don't like to just shake it and toss it back anyways. And I tell you, within an hour, I would say within an hour of drinking that protein shake, I just immediately felt better. And I noticed my energy levels come up. I noticed my mental clarity increase. I noticed the stiffness in my body go away. I noticed strength. So another thing too, because I was trying to get back on track, and so one of the things is exercise. It's like, okay, so I'll push myself to exercise, trying to come out of this stupor that I was in. And so I went to the gym and I did sort of my normal routine. It starts with handstand push-ups. I do 3 sets of 10. And then I go and do dips. And I tell you, I went to do dips and I was weak. I did 1 and I would say, like, for what it's worth, I almost collapsed. Like, I was notably weak. And I was like, okay, that is enough. I'm just going to go and practice yoga. I went and did my thing, which doesn't, you know, it's challenging, but I mean, and it was frustrating too, because I had lost flexibility. My body, so this is important. So prior to the Christmas holidays, I was lifting something really heavy and I strained my back. I didn't pull it, or I didn't like really hurt myself, but I could tell that I put a significant load on my lower back. And so it's just like, okay, I need to recover from this. And this was part of why I was stopping with the calisthenics and stopping with the yoga, and even with meditation. I stopped meditating because it's like I just really need to relax and take a break from absolutely everything. And so, yeah, and then so I go back to practicing. I go back to calisthenics, and I'm weak as a kitten. It's like, yeah, I can still belt out 30 handstand push-ups, but then that's it. At that point, I'm spent. Normally, I would do a couple other exercises after that, and then that is when I've fully spent my top end. Right? I do a top end day and I do a bottom end day. And then and in yoga too, it's like I was noticeably stiff, and my back was sore, so I couldn't go as deep as I would normally do. And it's just like, I was doing something seriously wrong. And what it turned out to be was, like I said, and then one other thing. So I tried fasting for a day because it's like, okay, fasting is great. Maybe I just need to reset. And so I was drinking lots of water and stuff like that, but still I wasn't doing so good, and I was still dry for some reason, and like my lips became chapped, and then I would go like this to kind of like get the dead skin off of them, and then they bled a little bit, and then they were like swollen, and then they wouldn't heal. So I was literally in a state of stiffness, weakness, inflexibility, and not healing from a couple of different things that I have going on with my body. One of them is an elbow thing. I don't know what happened anyways, but it's been getting better. All of a sudden it got worse. And then the other thing was my lower back, which it just wasn't getting better than my lips. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And like I said, as soon as I drastically increased my protein content, I went and looked in the mirror, and the bags under my eyes disappeared. I swear, in like an hour, because my body was just starved of this essential component that it needed to perform like all of its functions. And so since then, it's like I've learned this lesson before about how important it is, but I just don't, it's taken, oh no, I guess I didn't learn my lesson, because clearly I'm still learning it. I think this time I did, because it has become very apparent how crucially important this nutrient is. I mean, for myself, I love fruit. I don't know what people talk about when they say things about like spiking blood sugars and that. I will devour 3 big mangoes, and I've never felt anything but awesome. I will eat a plate of mangosteens like that. I will eat a wanabana. I will eat a bunch of oranges or a bunch of granadilla and like things I've never. I don't know what this whole blood sugar thing is about. I love fruit. I am a fruitarian through and through. Vegetables, I don't know. To me, vegetables are sort of like junk food. I mean, a little bit of steamed broccoli, steamed organic broccoli, lightly steamed, or no, well steamed, because it needs to. I find that I need to be able to digest stuff well. And so, anyways, getting back to the point is that, like, I feel like that I struggle to get enough protein on a raw vegan diet. And the thing is, sure, I can get that from a protein drink, but if I am relying on this drink every day of my life to get the required amount of protein, it's not really the money. I mean, I spend money on, those things I spend money on. Like, protein isn't an issue as far as money's concerned. It could be for some people, right? But it's not for me. I work a full-time job. I can afford it. But the thing is, in a diet, I don't want to eat anything every single day. To me, I will get sick of it no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's peanut butter, if it's, when I was a kid, I remember I ate, my dad, we would go on traveling in Mexico and we ate tuna sandwiches for like months on end, and I couldn't eat tuna for years after that because I was so sick of the taste of this thing that I had to eat and had no choice. So it's like, I can't have that happen with protein, with a protein shake. I don't want to rely on this 100%. It doesn't make any sense. And my body has given me the feedback that I need more protein. Now, there are some people that I've seen on YouTube that they eat just fruit. And these guys that I've watched, they're black guys. And so some of them, it's all fruit or all watermelon. And it's like, I don't know what's going on with their system and how that works for them, but that just does not work for me at all. I would like to only eat fruit. I wish that my body would function perfectly if I only ate fruit. I've tried it a number of times, and I pay attention to my to, what do you call it, the food combining and stuff like that. Like, I have tried just fruit. I have tried what do you call it, like a sort of a very sort of gourmet raw food diet. And like I said, everything that I listed, I eat a wide variety of things. I spare no expense on food because health to me is my number one investment. Without that, I'm lying in bed, right? That doesn't work. Everything that I'm doing goes out the window when my health is failing. And so that is why at this point I have decided to stop trying to eat a 100% raw food diet. For me, it doesn't work. There are some people who say that it does. Good for them. Hats off, kudos, congratulations. But for myself, I'll tell you something, I am a Vata dosha. This is Ayurveda. It is the sister science of yoga. And for that type of a person, according to that science, we need a good amount of protein, and we need things to help, because it's the air element. It helps to have things to help ground us, because food isn't just about, it's not just about the chemical composition. It's an energetic, sort of a psychological, emotional thing too. And it helps me to eat certain things that help to ground me. And if I eat if I eat pretty much only raw food, I find myself in such an elevated state that I'm not getting more done because I have all of this energy. I'm not sleeping as well because I need to be grounded. I need to be centered. I need to be stable. That is what helps. And so I've started eating beans again, and lentils again, and quinoa again, and rice. I'm going to experiment with and see how my body reacts to it. But yeah, I think that this is, and also too, those things, very simple foods, and they're very hearty and wholesome and satiating, and also and tons of protein and lots of nutrients and fiber and things like that. And they're also relatively inexpensive, because it can be quite costly. You know, if you're buying, avocados cost $2 a piece now. And like granadilla, I think I pay $2.50 a piece for them. Mangosteens, when I can get them, they're pretty expensive too. They're a couple bucks a piece. So it's like, and then like eating 100% raw food diet. Like I said, it's not so much about the money, but I mean it does help that to have a staple of your diet that is really working for you, that is healthy, that is reasonably cheap. Beans are super cheap, like, and what I have found too is that because some people say, oh, well, if you're eating all these beans and stuff, you're gonna have gas. It's like, no, you need to eat the right amount of them. So for myself, what I have come to realize with these cooked foods is that, number one, they need to be combined properly. If you're going to eat, say, something like beans, you can't combine it with things that it won't digest properly with it. So you have to really pay attention to food combining, because digestion is important. I mean, and the other thing too is the quantity. And so for myself, my body, I am 155 pounds. I'm 6'2". I'm 42 years old or 43. I can't remember, right? I'm pretty active, right? I'm a man as well. But that's where I'm at in life at present being. And I eat 3/4 of a cup of a dry material, no matter what it is. If that's lentils, or say like I'll make a dal, I will use 3/4 of a cup of dal. If I make rice, I will use 3/4 of a cup. Well, it's actually half a cup of short grain, organic brown rice, and then 1/4 of a cup of wild rice, and I make a mix out of them. Or 3/4 of a cup of quinoa, and that is the right amount, so that I'm not stuffing myself, so that there's always room for digestion to occur in a healthy way inside of my body, and as well I'm getting enough, because I've found that half a cup is not enough and a whole cup is too much, and both of those things lead to problems. Not enough, and then you're hungry, you're deficient, you're not doing it right. Too much, you're overloaded and you become heavy and tired, and that's not the idea either. So it's really about really nailing it, and yeah. So this has been a huge learning process, because but it's been very enlightening, and I tell you, so now that I've started eating these other foods again, these cooked foods, and making sure that I'm getting an ample supply of protein in my diet. Like I said, today was my first day practicing what I would call hardcore yoga, meaning like I'm like deep hip opening stuff, and I hit it today, and I was right back to where I was a couple of weeks ago, and making gains, because I had taken some time to rest, which I think was good for my body. But just with that extra protein in there, my body is thriving, and I went deeper than ever in all of the stretches. I'm working on my middle splits right now, and just like everything, I noticed my strength, because when you're going into the splits, you need to support your weight, and so you need to have strength in your arms. It's quite a thing to get good at some of these postures. But I mean, yeah, and it was noticeable. I had no issues with my back or with anything, and my meditation was super deep as well, and which is super important because when you open up your hips, then you can sit in certain postures, certain like seated meditative postures like Siddhasana, sort of like a half lotus pose, and then you can go much deeper because your legs are more comfortable and you're not they're not falling asleep on you and this and that anyways. And so yeah, just huge drastic improvement. Yeah, and so I'll leave you with that. It's been one hell of a journey. And I just take 1 second just to thank anybody. My last video that I made was about how I was thinking about quitting YouTube because my spirits were down, because I just felt like garbage because of my diet. I swear, because I was malnourished. I was a starving vegan kind of deal, right? Like just, and yeah, and so and a lot of people reached out, said some things, like, hey, don't give up, and like, you got to think about what you're doing. And I really went back to the drawing board on this, and I realized that I need to make a lot bigger effort to essentially make sure that the thumbnails are good, and as well just that the content, it's more streamlined. So instead of bouncing all over the place and it just being kind of a muddle of information, it's more dealing with a particular focus. And so yeah, I would just say thank you for, if you do watch my videos, thank you for bearing with me over this time of challenge in my life, and certainly becoming more, like, I understand now because of some of the feedback that people gave me, that it's like, yeah, this is self-expression, but it's more than that too. You have to honor the fact that other people are watching these videos, and it needs to be engaging. If you're just all over the place, it's not the best to see, right? It's not a very good example, and that's not who I want to be either. And so yeah, I'm really making an effort to, I almost jumped back into making videos sort of like just kind of being very unprepared and not having the stuff thought out. And but then I caught myself, and I deleted a couple of videos and decided to remake them and do a better job. And so yeah, thank you for being there. And if you do like these videos, so I've always not wanted to say this, but please like and subscribe. It helps my channel as far as I know. So yeah, thanks, and see you in the next one.